never saw an agenda, an actual agenda.
It was just part of the link, I think, yeah.
Or somebody brought us some candy.
Or I can. I haven't done it in a while.
Go for it. I don't care who calls it. I just don't want all of us going. Yeah. This is tough.
Yeah.
All right, calling the meeting to order for the City of Leawood Planning Commission regular session meeting for Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. Secretary, please call the roll.
Nadelman? Here. Franze?
Here.
McGurran?
Here.
Belzer? Here. Block?
Absent.
Stevens?
Here,
Fishman?
Here.
Farrington? Here. Coleman?
Here, we do have a quorum this evening. Before I move on with the agenda, I just wanted to make one note that I omitted last meeting. Commissioner Farrington was sworn in, but I neglected to mention that Commissioner Fishman and Commissioner Franze were appointed to new terms effective March 1st, 2026, and they will serve for a full 3 years. So congratulations to you both, and my apologies for skipping over you during the last meeting. In front of us is the agenda. Any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Belzer.
I move for approval of tonight's agenda.
Second.
Commissioner McGurran seconds. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The agenda is approved. That brings us up to approval of minutes. We have one set of minutes from the March 24th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. Are there any changes or deletions or additions to those minutes?
Mr. Chair,
Hold on. I do have one on page 2 under election of officers. The second sentence, I believe Commissioner Block made the nomination, just so we can be clear on that. Any other changes? Commissioner Belzer.
I move for approval of the minutes of the March 24th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting with the noted change.
Thank you.
second.
Second, Commissioner Stevens. All in favor of approving the minutes from March 24th, 2026, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against, nay. The minutes are approved. That brings us up to the consent agenda. We have two cases on the consent agenda. Case PC 045-2026, East Village of Leawood, revised sign criteria, and case PC 051-2026, City of Leawood Public Works Maintenance Solar Panels. Would any commissioners like to pull any of these cases for further discussion? Commissioner
Mr.
Belzer.
Chair, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Franze. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Consent agenda is approved. One note on that, our former commissioner would be very happy that solar panels, and I sent him a link
I thought
to
the same thing.
to the so he could see that we've made progress on that. That brings us up to new business. Commission calls case PC-025-2026, Leawood Market Center. Request for approval of a rezoning from SDCR, Planned General Retail District, to RP4, Planned Apartment Residential District. Preliminary development plan and preliminary plat located south of 135th Street and west of State Line Road. who has that one? Carrie, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can we get the PowerPoint? Is the PowerPoint up? There we go. Okay, this is case 025-2026. The Market Center development. It's a rezoning, preliminary development plan, and preliminary plat application. This is located at the southwest corner of 135th Street and State Line Road. We have 5 lots here with a mix of commercial and residential on 2 separate phases of the project. Phase 1 would be the residential townhomes, and phase 2 would be the commercial development. Phase 1 is the rezoning portion. Let's see if we can show that. That southern portion in yellow is what will be would be with approval rezoned from SDCR, and the remaining portion on the north side is going to remain SDCR. Here's a site plan that kind of shows some of the landscaping proposed with the preliminary development plan, trees, shrubs, and street trees, interior trees, bushes and shrubs. Those are the same, shrubs. There are 3 plaza areas in the commercial area, one for each building, sort of adjacent to each of those structures. And then we also have a courtyard in the center where there's 5 structures sort of surrounding an interior courtyard. That's also a plaza area. And then we have another plaza, pedestrian plaza space on the very east side of the residential development. Those will be programmed at a later date in the final development plan. This slide kind of shows the elevation of what the townhomes will look like from the street. The height of that is, I think it's 32 feet. 40 feet is allowed by the LDO. There's a mix of different materials here as proposed with the preliminary development plan, but those materials would be finalized with the final development plan. And then we also have one elevation of what the grocery store would look like from the north on 135th, and then also on the east. There's a variety of materials here as well, which also will be detailed in the final development plan. And staff does recommend with this proposal approval with the 14 stipulations. Now you have on your dais a change to stipulation number 10. It's a little bit of just a reword on that. And then we also have an email that came in to us after the packet was posted from the Madden McFarland owners of the design store just to the east of this development. That email basically is asking about the cross-access easement on the south side of the property, south and east side. And the Interact meeting, basically the folks that attended that Interact meeting were the same people that emailed here too, saw the project, and did not voice any concerns necessarily at that meeting. They may be here tonight to speak on the project as well. And then we also have a memo from Public Works that was updated after the packet was published as well. That's also on your dais. And that concludes my presentation if you have any questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman, given the late email that we received, I guess I'd just kick off with a question. It relates to Mr. Madden's question. How would you say the city believes his property is or is not impacted?
So there's an existing easement there as it is, and we just anticipate that that would remain.
And the entries that he has today remain the same?
At this point, yes, on where the cross-access easement is. As far as what on 135th Street, that is, remains to be seen. If Public Works has any input on that, I would welcome that
Okay.
conversation too.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? I have a couple. In regards to the deviation, can you put,
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't say anything about the deviation. Yeah.
would you like to say something about the deviation?
Yes.
Let me just turn to that page. Apologies for that. So, yeah, they're requesting a deviation for the 30-foot building separation requirement for the RP4 district. That would be reduced to 0 when the city approves adequate open space for the project between buildings, if that's appropriate. And they're also and they're requesting a reduced setback between the clusters from the required 30 feet to 10 feet.
Okay. Can you put the diagram of the buildings again, please?
Is that the one you want?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. How much, which buildings are impacted if we grant the deviation? Which are going to not have the proper
So
distance?
I think between the buildings, I would say they're not. I can't see. I don't have my glasses tonight. I believe between the building on the very north side of the townhomes on the west, that and the one that's adjacent to it to the south, I don't believe that has 30 feet between the buildings, and then likewise from that second building to the third one to the south as well.
Can you put that on the overhead?
Yeah.
Can that on the overhead?
Yeah, Michelle's going to
So
bring
then
it up
they
on the
can-
overhead for you.
Yeah, that would be appreciated.
Much easier to see it than me just talking about it. And if you can see that,
Yeah, Michelle, is there a way you can blow it up, please? It's not.
no bad. Is this one on?
There we
There you
go.
go.
Sorry about that. So there's reduced separation between these two buildings here. That is shorter than the 30 feet, sorry. It's more pinched between these two buildings, these two buildings, these two buildings, these two buildings, and basically kind of this cluster in here. So they're requesting that deviation. They're not all going to be 10 feet apart, but that's kind of more the minimum that the applicant is requesting, just to make sure that we've kind of covered the bases when we're talking about that building separation in the RP4.
And then where they're granting open space for that?
Yeah, so I believe that the open space, they've got plenty of open space, especially when we talk about, I'm going to zoom out just a tad here. This is all kind of open space that's in floodplain, that has also some stream buffer setbacks. And so we can't have any structures or any other type of amenity in that needs to maintain open so we don't impact flood flow or anything else or have any water quality issues. So there is sufficient open space once we start accounting for that stream area along the western half there along Kenneth Road.
There's 57% open space on this site, and 30% is what is required by the LDO.
Okay, and then did you say there was a stream in that area?
It is right along basically Kenneth Road. Okay. So everything kind of up in here. So you kind of see this floodplain area right here. Yep. So if you kind of bring the Kenneth Road and 135th Street intersection in your mind. Just on the west side of Kenneth Road is where we have the cooperative, the Village Cooperative go in. That's that 5-story, 55-plus apartment building that's going in. And if you kind of bring that site plan in your head, the northeast corner of that was all kind of open space, kind of that there were some pedestrian amenities. That is continuing now under Kenneth Road onto the western part of this property. This streamway also kind of continues to the north, kind of into Covenant Church and into East Village also. So we have kind of this big, long, kind of a stream, kind of floodway area, floodplain area that you can kind of look on a map and kind of see this whole area undeveloped. This is a continuation of that along this western part of the property adjacent to Kenneth Road.
To our knowledge, has that stream ever, during a flood event, is there any danger of it coming up to the new homes?
I don't know what the history of that is. However, Public Works and we do have a engineer on staff who is very well versed in stream and flood zone, and he has taken a look at this project. All the buildings are outside of the floodplain and the floodway, and there are no amenities. Or I believe they've also pulled all the fencing out of the floodway as well.
Okay. In regards to the townhomes, it looks like the garages are in the back. If you could put
Yes,
kind
correct.
of okay, or she can show us.
So the buildings are situated so that the backs face the street and the fronts face green space, and those, it's really evident, right there where Michelle is pointing. You've got garages that come in off the street. Those are on the back side, officially the back side of the building. The front sides are facing green areas.
Okay. Do we have any samples of the floor plans that came with this?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you very much. Invite the applicant to come forward.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Judd Clausen with Phelps Engineering. For the record, 1270 North Winchester.
Can you move the mic up, Judd?
Judd Clausen with Phelps Engineering, 1270 North Winchester, Olathe, Kansas. With me tonight is my client, Matt Siegel with TriStar Properties. They're the buyer and developer for the townhomes part of the property. Also with me is Doug Henslick. He's the owner and principal with CWMOH Partners, which is the land owner here. And they're the master developer, and so they'll end up developing once the townhomes are sold off to Matt's company, the commercial part as well. So both are here in the audience, as well as Amy Grant with Bosanelli. But just wanted to make a few comments. Thank you for the staff report. It was very thorough. A couple of clarifications. The townhome height was actually dropped in the last submittal down to 29 feet and some inches. That was part of the fire comments to bring all the building heights down below 30 foot, so we didn't have a fire apparatus issue with the fire department, and that's worked out with the chief. We talked about stipulation number 10. That's was in your packet or on your dais to have that revision. One additional clarification we would like to request is on item number 6. That stipulation reads, all downspouts shall be enclosed. And we would like to respectfully request that that be adjusted to all downspouts on commercial structures be enclosed. And that's just because of the nature of the 2-story type townhomes that we're building, more like a house, that it's difficult to put those types of downspouts internal. Obviously, if we were doing a flat roof, we know the rules, we would put them internal, but it's pretty difficult on this type of a product. So wanted to ask for that consideration. With that, our team is available for questions, and we agree to all the other stipulations as presented.
All right, thank you. Excuse me. Any questions for the applicant?
Following up with Steve's question, I wanted to find out a little bit more what these units are going to be like inside, just roughly. Also, what kind of price points are you looking at for these units?
So I'm going to ask Matt to come up to talk a little bit about the product itself. Thank you.
Matt Siegel, 12647 Olive Street Road, St. Louis, Missouri, 63141. Chair, Commission, pleased to be here. We're excited to potentially come into the Kansas City market. We are located in Chesterfield, Missouri, specifically. Done a lot of projects in St. Louis. Started dabble in Kansas City, as I have my wife's family actually is from this area, and I love it. Been visiting it since for 25 years. Actually 35 now. So it's a great place, and one of the reasons we're attracted to Leawood, we do a lot of work in Chesterfield, Missouri, and if you look at demographically, very similar submarkets. Average household incomes well exceed $150,000. Those are the type of markets we like to be in. High barrier to entry, prestigious places where it's not easy to get work done. That's really where we're attracted to. We don't want to go out to the farm fields where you can just throw something up. That's not our thing. So when we're actually developing this product in Chesterfield, and I said to Kurt Peterson, who represents us on a lot of projects, I said, hey, do you know of anything in Leawood? Because we really like to get here. And he set me up with Doug Henslick, who owns this ground, and we came into a partnership, and we're thrilled to potentially be here. The uniqueness of the townhouse that we're proposing is over 50% of them have first floor, primary down bedrooms, which really lends to our demographic. We try to think of it as a bell curve or a barbell. We're trying to hit the young professional who has maybe dual income, no children yet, and it hits that affluency that we need in order to afford a unit like this, or the downsizing empty nester who lives in Leawood, probably in a 7-figure home that has a house in Florida or Arizona, and their children still are here, so they need to have a presence in Leawood, but quite honestly, they're sick of the insurance, the taxes, and all the upkeep, so they sell that 7-figure home, invest in the market, spend half the year in Florida, and they have a townhouse with us with a first floor primary bedroom, and the grandchildren can come over, spend the night upstairs in those bedrooms. So they're 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,600 square feet for the larger units, and then the units that are geared more towards the young professionals who want to aspire to be in Leawood. Maybe they grew up here. As we all know, the housing market's extremely tight, so they're going to get with us, and there's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath unit that's in that like 1,250 square foot range. From a pricing standpoint, I can just tell you that it's top of market. So you're that top of market. If I talk in per square foot, you're like $225 a square foot. So if you do calculations, most of the rents will have a 3 in front of them.
So a 3. So these are for ownership.
For rent.
They're for rent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the $3,000 a month you're
plus, yeah,
to. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when we come to a market, we basically take the top of the market and add a percentage to it and bring the nicest product in. High-end interiors, everything is, for us, 2-car attached garage with direct access into your kitchen. We think when you start thinking about the design of floor plans, people forget about that component. Oh, I have a 2-car attached garage. Yeah, well, where's it going to? Is it going to your family room? Is it going into you got to walk up a flight of stairs? We think there's significant value. I've been in home building for a long time, going right into your kitchen. And it's the simple things that make your everyday life easier.
Ms. Nadelman, did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. Any additional questions for the applicant? No? Let me ask you a question on the tenant for the grocery store. Do you have a tenant in mind? Do you have a tenant signed yet?
I'll defer to Doug, who's handling the commercial side of the project.
Doug Henslick, 11050 Rowe Avenue, Overland Park, Kansas. I'm sorry, I did not hear the question.
The question was, for the grocery store, do you have a tenant signed or someone that you're in discussion with?
We have a signed letter of intent at this point, and starting to work on a real estate contract.
Okay. Good. Okay. Just and one question. We just had a joint session with the city council a month or two ago. And one of the things that we had an expert come in, she said the market is already oversaturated with apartments. So I have a concern. I like the product. I just have a concern of building more apartments on 135th Street. But apparently you've researched everything and feel comfortable to bring this forward.
I can tell you, I've done my research, extensive market studies. There is not one product that is like what I'm bringing you. When I talk, the primary master bedroom on the first floor is non-existent in this market. They're not apartments. I mean, they're townhomes. And just until I told you it was for rent, you had no idea.
Oh, true.
Because it looks like you could buy it. If I was to sell one of these, it would be $600,000-$700,000. I mean, they're expensive to build. So that's the idea is not everybody is, and it's really an interesting market now. I understand like traditional apartments, mid-rise, all that could be saturated. I'm going to pull people out of those apartments who will come here. There'll be people selling 7-figure homes that will come here. It's not your typical renter. It's a renter by choice. There's a significant difference, and it's, I can tell you that the floor plan is unique, and you don't have it here currently. And when we had our staff pre-app, that was one of the things that staff commented right away was, hey, we don't have anything like this. This is unique. And that was music to our ears. That's why we find markets that are affluent that we can come into and bring something that's not here.
Okay. All right. Good. Any other questions for the applicant? Commissioner Fishman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one brief question for Mr. Henslick. Doug, how big is the grocery store going to be?
It's, I believe it's 22,000 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Commissioner Belzer.
I have a question for, yes, you, please.
The bald guy.
I'm sorry, I just completely forgot your name, but I would never say
It's
that.
Matt.
I would never say that.
I've been called worse, so we're good.
No, that is not an acceptable way to refer to somebody. Okay. So I'm looking at the street elevations, and I see the street elevation and the rear elevation. So if someone is coming to my place, my townhome, can they park? Is there street parking available for them?
So in the site plan, Judd did, there are a couple areas for visitor parking, and then additionally, it's just like a traditional driveway. You're going to have 2 cars in the garage, and you can have 2 cars on the parking pad.
So,
and they're normal width streets as well.
Okay, so then, but is the front door on the back what would then essentially be the back?
Correct. The idea is it's new urbanism type of style. So Leawood. So I've taken this product to various markets, and some markets, I'll be honest, the fire department sometimes they're okay with real alleys, and some cities, municipalities, they're not. And really, an alley is just these are streets because fire code's dictating the width of that street, whereas if it was an alley, it would feel a little more like new urbanism style. So the answer is, though, yeah, you will walk around a sidewalk to the green space. Always, it's all the front doors open to the green space, and they also have, if you look, the end cap units all have what we call courtyards. So fenced-in courtyards, right? People set up, a cafe table, and it opens to the green space. That's kind of the idea. Is you live out on the green space, and it's that type of living fosters community where people get to know their neighbors a little more, grab a cup of coffee, glass of wine in the evening, that type of thing.
But there's a door where the
Oh, yeah.
garage is, because if let's
yes.
say I live on this right side in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 unit building, right? And I'm having a bunch of people over, and they're parking in my garage and parking in those 3 spots there. They're not going to walk all the way around that whole courtyard and come. Let's say I'm in that smack in the middle.
You could come through.
They're
the
going to
garage.
come through.
They can.
So the people who are really going to see the front of your house are the people, like the courtyard people. That's going to be what is facing.
Right. I mean, that's why we have a lot of interconnecting sidewalks and trails, call it, throughout the entirety of the development.
Okay.
And also, that's additionally why the rear of the units, from an elevation standpoint, they feel like a front entry garage would. That if you require somebody to have a front entry garage, you're going to require masonry and other bits of elevation to make it not just look like hardy board or what have you. So there is that element of there's quality on the rear and a lot of quality on the front.
Okay, and then just lastly, I know that there was discussion about the elevations or the height is lower. So is it a 3-story?
No, it's 2-story.
Unit or 2-story? So that's like a dormer window at the top?
Correct. So it's a faux faux up there. But the candidly, in another municipality in St. Louis, these are 32 something, and it's roof pitch, and it's cheaper for me to drop the roof pitch as they requested. So that's the difference in height.
So we have the rear elevation.
No,
Yeah. So there's the rear elevation. So you can see it's got a significant amount of masonry as for a rear elevation. Very rarely would you ever see that amount of masonry on a rear elevation.
Okay. Thank you.
Her question about the door, there's doors there.
Yeah. So there's some people call them work doors, man doors, what have you.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Can we put the site map back up? I have a question about the...
I'm sorry, Commissioner Farrington, can you speak into the mic? I can't.
Sure, could you not hear me? Could you put up the site map? I have a question. And it's probably regarding that side yard setback between the buildings.
Val, could you put up
to modify that to 10 feet? And I think it just came about because you were talking about the height of the structure being 30 feet and then 10 feet. So the minimum is 10 feet, and then looking at your site map, like on the left-hand side, or I guess it would be the west, there's like 17 feet between those. Then if you go to just to the east of that, there's 12 feet. It looks like 12.3 feet. It looks like this. Are you approaching upon 10 feet between structures? Because that's where the height to width ratio of.
Yeah, we picked 10 feet because that gets down to the absolute minimum based on the site plan. We're going to ask for anything more than what we needed. And as you can see with the layout of the site, there's, some of the angles, some of the buildings are at angles to each other, so the distance kind of separates, especially on that west side there. But 10 foot was the absolute minimum that we could find on the site, as we laid it out.
And is that 10 foot based on the amount of units that you wanted to get into the site?
It is, right, based on, the fact that we have a lot of green space and floodplain to the west of the site that we cannot use. based on kind of the density of, where we're at right now, well under the threshold for this site, and just to try to make the best use of the site.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner McGurn.
Just to follow up and piggyback on that, are you willing to commit that there are only a few of the 10-foot spots, that the 17 that was referenced or the 20 that's referenced in the drawing, that those would all remain the same as opposed to potentially everything gets closer to 10?
No, this is based on a real footprint that the architects have developed that we've
Right.
incorporated into this site plan, based on a surveyed, engineered site plan. So yes, we can commit to that. That we're not going to be, you're not going to see at final something radically less than what this
Perfect.
is. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any additional questions for the applicant?
Okay.
Thank you very much. This case does require a public hearing. I will invite the public to come forward if they wish to be heard and speak on this case. We will have a 4-minute maximum per speaker. And you'll see anyone that comes to speak, you'll see the little box next to the laptop. It'll flash yellow and then red when your time is up, and there'll be a annoying noise when it hits red. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this case?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Belzer.
seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner McGurn with the second. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Public hearing is closed. That brings us up to discussion by the commission. Would anyone like to offer their comments on this case? Commissioner Fishman.
Thank you. I'd be glad to offer a comment. I've not seen every apartment in Leawood, but as far as I know, there's no real townhome sort of project in Leawood yet, and that being the case, it looks to me like this would be a very needed and necessary sort of a project, and I think it's in the right place. So I would commend the developer and think that this is a good idea.
Thank you, Commissioner Fishman. Any other comments? Commissioner Franze.
Yeah, I would echo what Commissioner Fishman said and just say, we talk a lot about housing variety in Leawood and needing to fill in some of the gaps where we have missing housing options. This seems like a really good product for that. So I would also commend the developer and support the project.
Yes, I would like to just point out there was a development in Leawood that originally was townhome apartments, which was just adjacent to here. They were converted to condominiums. So those, just for the record, it has been done in Leawood, and then they converted to condominiums later. So, but this is definitely another version.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrington. Any other comments? I just have a question for staff on the deviation with the downspouts. What's our colorful history on downspouts on apartments?
It's not actually a deviation. It's not part of the LDO. It's kind of something that we have been doing as a policy measure for downspouts. So it's not a deviation from the LDO. It's what we ask usually for applicants to provide.
That's what I thought. Okay. Any other comments on this case? I would just like to echo the commissioner's comments. One of the things that we strive for is to diversify our housing stock. And we talk quite frequently about the people that own big homes in Leawood and want to stay in Leawood, but want something smaller. With a master on the main is perfect for people that want to age in place. I wish they would be for sale as opposed to rentals, but I get where the developer is coming from on this. The deviation, it's a little tight around some of the buildings. But I'm accepting the open space would definitely help in this project. Okay. All right, with that, any other comments? Okay. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner
Mr.
Fishman.
Chairman, I would move for approval of case number PC 025-2026, Leawood Market Center for rezoning, preliminary development plan, and preliminary plat with the stipulations that have been attached and agreed to.
Is that as amended in the memo that was placed on the dais?
Yes, as amended.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fishman.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Franze. Any
Mr. Chair.
discussion on the motion?
May I ask for clarification on number 6? It's as written in the staff memo and not as requested by the applicant.
I'm sorry, which one was that? Number 6?
So
Regarding the
Yes.
downspouts.
the downspouts is requested by
Actually,
I
applicant.
assume you're,
Actually,
As is.
I did not address that, but my motion would be all downspouts shall be enclosed on commercial structures.
so you're wanting the downspouts to be not enclosed on the
On the
residential.
residential structures, that's correct.
Okay. Is that,
So I wanted to clarify that. So we probably need to go check with the second since the motion was kind of amended. Your motion is with the steps in the staff memo plus the change to number 6 as requested by the applicant.
Correct.
Okay. I don't know that was clear for whoever seconded that motion.
it was, I don't think it was not
Yeah.
clear.
It wasn't. I'll second still.
Still second? Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Just for staff, Marcy, since it is against the LDO, is that something that we can do?
It's not against the LDO.
What? Okay.
The downspouts being enclosed is not something that's addressed in the LDO. It's just been practice of the city over the last number of years, but it is not addressed in the LDO in any place.
Okay. All right. And your second still holds? Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. All in favor of approving case 025-2026, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The case is approved and sent to the City Council. Thank you, gentlemen. Commission calls case PC 044-2026, Hallbrook North, Headquarters 1 in Retreat, request for approval of a final development plan located north of College Boulevard and west of State Line Road. Ms. Burt, I believe this is yours?
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
Excuse me. This is case 044-2026, Hallbrook North, request for approval of a final development plan for the construction of Lockton's Headquarters 1 building and retreat located north of College Boulevard and west of State Line Road. This application also includes updates to their design guidelines packet for the overall Hallbrook North development. The Headquarters 1 building is a proposed 12-story tower with a 6-story parking garage directly below it, with a total of 455,132 square feet of finished floor space. The tower features an auto court at the entrance, 3 amenity decks, and a plaza space located adjacent to the building's east facade. The first floor amenity deck is the only one that will be partially accessible to the public and provides access from the first floor to the parking garage elevator. The retreat is proposed to go directly north of the headquarters building and features 6,000 square feet of flex space and conference rooms. I'm sorry, my slides aren't even on. The site plan might help you guys. There we go.
and conference room. Okay. The retreat also has its own plaza space adjacent to it as well, which includes an amphitheater and fire pit space. That's the auto court on the top, and then the bottom is their plaza space adjacent to the headquarters building. And then this is the retreat space with the amphitheater. The retreat is accessible by a staircase coming down from the west side and a staircase going down to the east. It's kind of like sandwiched in between since it is such a slope. It's kind of hard to describe it. And then the elevator for the parking garage also creates accessibility from within the garage and then from the top of the first amenity deck. The other two amenity decks will be fully private for employees and will feature landscaping with possibility of turf. And the proposed construction materials for both of these structures are stone, glass, and architectural metal. We have 5 material boards below with all of the materials to be used. The application proposes 20.8% of this lot to be landscaped with various coniferous, large deciduous, and ornamental trees, as well as various shrubs, ornamental grasses, and perennials. This project shows a total of 59 trees for the overall site with a required amount of 137 per the 1 to 10 parking space requirement. However, the previous tree replacement has covered the remaining 78 that are missing. As for parking, the project proposes a total of 1,368 spaces, 13 of which will be surface parking directly in front of the headquarters building, and this meets the LDO requirement. The updated design guidelines packet includes additional details for the entire development, an updated first section to provide a foundation of understanding for the site and location, and an updated second section that provides materials, colors, site elements, and more. That is on the dais for you. I forgot to put that on the packet, so I do apologize. As of this meeting, we've received 1 comment regarding the stormwater runoff. That's also been provided for you on the dais. And then this application otherwise meets all of the requirements of the LDO, and staff recommends approval of case 044-2026 with the 18 stipulations listed in the report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Burt. Any questions for the staff?
I do have a question,
Mr. Fishman.
Mr. Chairman. If there was a late email that came out concerning with all of these documents as attachments, I didn't see it. I was able to catch up with the previous application because it was far simpler than this one, but I have not seen this. And I want to know, or I would like to know, I'm sorry to phrase it that way, when did you send out the revised agenda with all of these documents attached so that we would have had a chance to review them?
The whole packet was included for this case and the original packet on Friday. The only thing that was missing was the design criteria. That's the only thing that was missing. And it's printed out in front of you.
So you say it came out last Friday?
The packet for this meeting, yes,
Okay.
it always comes out on the Friday before.
Okay, then my apologies. I didn't see it. So.
Additional
Thank you.
questions for, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Just curious.
Additional questions for staff. Commissioner Franze.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to address the comments in the email that's on the dais, and there were 3 concerns that were addressed in there. If you have that available, would you be able, the concerns were verifying compliance for stormwater across design storm events, cumulative downstream impacts, and the drainage study and modeling assumptions undergoing third-party review. Would you be able to confirm if that has all occurred?
I'm going to let Brian answer
Thank
that
you.
one.
Brian Scoville, City Engineer. So the applicant has provided a stormwater study. It has looked at the various storm events in accordance with city code. City Code Article, or Chapter 15, Article 5, references that a developer may not increase the amount or rate of runoff without, unless in accordance with an approved stormwater study or those codes therein. So we do have a stormwater study, and you may recall from previous Planning Commission meetings, in this case, the stormwater study recommends allowing the surface flow to drain from the site before the regional creek peaks. And normally you often see, or typically you often see detention, and the detention holds the water back and allows it to release at a slower rate. In this case, due to the proximity of the site in relation to the stormwater, the watershed, as evaluated by multiple engineers, 3 different firms and 1 retired professor, they all agreed and recommended that the detention should not be, that we should not detain on this site.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions for staff? Okay, thank you. I will invite the applicant to come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. My name is David Rezac with Van Trust Real Estate. We're located at 4900 Main, Suite 800, Kansas City, Missouri. We've continued to work diligently with the Leawood Planning Department and staff and are excited for the opportunity to discuss the proposed office headquarters FDP on the Hallbrook North development this evening. I have a brief presentation, then our team stands ready to answer any questions you may have, as I'm joined tonight by members of Van Trust, Judd Clausen and Doug Ubin with Phelps Engineering, our civil engineer, Sandy Price and Zach O'Keefe with Burns McDonnell. So with that, let's start the presentation here. Okay. There we go. As a quick reminder, here's the master plan of the 34 acres. It's in
I'm going to close ours because I think that's messing you guys up.
okay. Looks like it's multiple times. There we go. There we go. Okay. As a reminder, here's our master plan that's been approved, 34 acres. It is in phases. We're only talking tonight about the FTP on the office headquarters, but thought I'd say, you know, the phases on phase 1 are the office building. We've also got a hotel, an event center. We've got multifamily, residential. We've got some restaurants and retail. Tonight, we're going to show you an updated video. We showed the animation last time. And so I'm going to show this update that kind of shows what our latest video looks like. Still not. Do I need to get out of that first? was on the desktop. We can just. Apologize.
There you go.
Please. There we go. Okay, so here's the phase one. This is starting off kind of looking due south. You got State Line Road to the left. There's the 12-story office building there on the west side of our development. You got State Line Road now in front of you. Now you're looking due west. But this is our first phase. We're going to circle the site here. You got College Boulevard now kind of in the foreground, State Line on the right, looking due north. You can see the 12-story office building with the 6.5-story garage underneath that is tucked into the hill in our loop road. There's the retreat kind of on the north end. Now what's coming out of the ground is our phase 2 components, which is the expansion building, 250,000 square foot for Lockton, the other multifamily, and then the office building on the south. So this is the full build out. And like I said, all we're here tonight is to talk about the 12-story office building and the retreat. But I think it helps to kind of show what's going on contextually around the whole master plan. So hopefully this updated video is helpful. Kind of circles around. Like I said, you can see the retreat there that's between these two office buildings that kind of terraces down the hill towards the north and west. This video is going to end with a couple still renderings that I'll mention as I get into the presentation. Here's the east elevation as you're coming off State Line, showing the front door of the office building. And then this is kind of a shot kind of from 435 looking at this first phase office building. Okay, now back to the PowerPoint. Okay, Julie, how do I get it? Okay. Okay. So the 12-story tower will anchor the new development at approximately 455,000 square feet. The building will serve as the centerpiece of the 34-acre project. The second phase HQ expansion building is planned for approximately 250,000 square feet. All these images that I'm showing you are what Taylor kind of already showed. I'm just going to add a little color so you better understand what you're looking at. At the building entry, a deep bronze canopy leads to a light-filled lobby that opens directly to surrounding amenity space, reinforcing a sense of openness and community from the moment visitors arrive. The tower will feature high-performance glass and warm metal accents inspired by the colors of the Kansas prairie, allowing the building's appearances to shift subtly throughout the day. The design is iconic and modern, with clean lines, warm materials, and human-scaled spaces, a nod to the era in which Lockton was founded 60 years ago. Rooted in the Kansas City region, the headquarters draws directly from its surroundings, employing regional materials and thoughtful designs that reflect the area's landscape and character. Limestone features will be used prominently throughout the site, grounding Lockton's headquarters and the building itself in the company's Midwest heritage. Direct links to Leawood City Park and nearby trails further connect the headquarters to the community. A series of cascading limestone terraces steps down the natural topography of the site, creating outdoor gathering spaces and intimate settings for Lockton's retreat building, a smaller separate structure integrated into the hillside. Indoor and outdoor amenity spaces will be welcoming and flexible, supporting both day-to-day work activities and after-hour events. Designed as a next-generation workplace, the headquarters will support collaboration and strengthen culture and create meaningful space for the Lockton associates, clients, and partners of the firm continues to grow globally. As one of the largest build-to-suits and office developments to break ground in the Midwest in the past 5 years, the project reflects a long-term investment in Lockton's people, growth, and future. And this is a quote from Ron Lockton, Chairman and CEO of Lockton. This headquarters is more than a new address. It further focused destination design to elevate how we serve clients and how we support our people. The design supports our growth, strengthens our culture, and gives us the environment to motivate and attract top talent for years to come. The headquarters and retreat is scheduled to break ground this summer, and Lockton expects to relocate to their new building early in 2030. And with that, I will open it up for any questions.
Any questions for the applicant? Nope, no, looks like no questions for you.
Okay.
We could do comments later. These are for questions.
Well, there's a question with my comment, though.
Then please proceed.
My prefacing comment was to say I like reading your landscaping plan. The amount of trees and the diversity is, I think, impressive. I did notice there's a synthetic lawn. Is that just for like internal like terraces and the deck, or where will the synthetic grass be?
That's probably, you can see a lot of the terracing that we have on floor 1 and floor 3, kind of where the kind of the base of the building. So we're still trying to figure out what those amenity terraces really look like, outdoor seating, things like that. So we may incorporate some synthetic turf on those just to help break up the amount of hardscape.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us up to discussion by the commission. Anyone have any comments on this case?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner McGurn.
I'd just like to commend David and the team. It's a very impressive transition from what we saw initially to what is being finalized from a preliminary standpoint tonight. I think the quality, the beauty of it all, the commitment to what was already approved in the sense of the overall layout is all impressive. So thank you.
Any additional comments? Commissioner Fishman.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Can you hear me okay? I'm disappointed that I didn't get a chance to review this before the meeting, but in looking through it during the presentation, I mean, it's just an absolutely gorgeous development. And ordinarily, I would be reluctant to vote on a proposal for which I have not seen the supporting documents, but for a plan approval preliminary. This is a final development plan. I feel okay doing that. So I certainly, rather than to abstain, I intend to certainly vote in favor of this wonderful proposal.
Any additional comments? Okay. Seeing none.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Belzer.
I move for approval of case PC-044-20, is that right?
2026.
2026, Hallbrook North, Headquarters 1 and Retreat, request for approval of a final development plan located north of College Boulevard and west of State Line Road with the included stipulations.
Second. Thank you, Commissioner Belzer. Thank you, Commissioner. Second with Commissioner McGurn. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor of approving case PC-044-2026, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The case is approved and sent to the City Council. Thank you, gentlemen. That brings us up to case PC-046-2026, the Foundry Luxury Condominium Garages, request for approval of a special use permit, preliminary development plan, and preliminary plat located north of 143rd Street and east of Kenneth Road. Who, Carrie, did you have this one? Okay, please proceed.
I'll wait just a minute, if you will, for the PowerPoint to come back up. Okay. Carrie Kneller, Senior Planner. This is case 046-2026. The special use permit, preliminary development plan, and preliminary plat application for luxury condominium garages. This project is located, you can kind of see on your right-hand map there, this project is located at approximately 141st Terrace and Kenneth Road within the Centennial Park development. It's also referred to as the Bicentennial Park. In this case, on this side of the state line, I believe it's the Centennial Park, but I'll refer to it as such further. Phase 1 of the development consists of 54 private garage storage units on the east side of the site in 5 structures, and Phase 2 is planned for 35 additional units in 2 structures. You can see the units on the right, Phase 1 to the east and Phase 2 to the west. The applicant also contemplates a clubhouse or car wash. That has not yet been clearly defined, but by the time it comes to a final development plan, we should know more about that and have more details. There's a pedestrian or golf cart pathway to connect Phase 1 to Phase 2. Once Phase 2 is complete, that would be closed to vehicle traffic, only pedestrians and golf cart traffic for that path. Total open space within the project is approximately 44%. That's 14% more than is required. Per the LDO at section 16-4-3.7, subsection J, I wanted to point out that these units cannot be used as living quarters. Vehicles shall be completely kept within the units themselves, and outdoor storage is prohibited. No commercial sales or repair services are allowed, or distribution of stored goods, and the facility shall be controlled with a controlled access system. This site is completely closed in by a fence with 2 access points, both of which will be gated with access for the owners and access for the fire department. We do have a preliminary landscape plan that screens the property on the north side where there is adjacent residential units, and then on the perimeter as well. Street trees are included. More details on the landscape plan will also be included with the final development plan. Oh, and then I thought I had some elevations or renderings here. We'll just go back to this. Building height is 22 feet, so that's a tall 1-story structure. And preliminary material selections include cementitious stucco and synthetic wood siding. More details on that to come with a final development plan as well. There are some requested deviations here. The interior property line setback is 25 with this proposal, 25 feet with this proposal. The LDO requires a 40-foot setback, so that would be 1 deviation. And it can be reduced to 0 when the city approves adequate open space for the project. And then the second deviation is for the FAR. What is required is a 0.25 FAR, and they have provided a 0.27, so slightly above that. The increase in FAR meets the 10% bonus allowed for increased open space that's provided with this project. There was an Interact meeting held on April 15th. 2026, and 11 residents attended that meeting. A summary of that meeting and the comments that were made and the discussions that were had are included in your packet. And staff does recommend the approval of this application with the, I believe it's 17 stipulations included. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for staff? I do have one question in regards, one of the requests is the 500 square foot pace to be used as a clubhouse or car wash bay. For car wash bay, do you need any special things for runoff of the car wash?
I don't believe so. It's going to be captured like any other car wash would be, is what the applicant has told me, but I would just maybe field that question to the applicant as well, like what they plan to do with that.
Okay. Okay. All right, any additional questions for staff? Okay, with that, I'll invite the applicant to come forward.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Taylor. I live at 13920 Kenneth Road. At the risk of sounding obsequious, I really do appreciate and am very grateful for the amount of time that has been spent on bringing this project to where it is today, including an ordinance change to allow this kind of product to be put here. I know there was a lot of work sessions that were a lot of time spent in those sessions, and I know a lot of work was done. So thank you very much for that. This project is important for me and for many reasons, but not the least of which is I live right across the street. I literally stare at this every day. And so what goes there is really important for me and my family. This is our forever home, and we have lots of neighbors that are going to be adjacent to it. And so what ends up there is important for not only them, but for me as well. And particularly the traffic concern, right? Because Loch Lloyd is open, there's a lot of development going on in the southern corridor of Leawood. And so the amount of traffic that could be generated on Kenneth Road is a little frightening for our values and et cetera. So in deciding and staring at this land for a long, long time, in fact, and I hope the fire department's not here, but when my kids were really, really young, we'd go light fireworks in those cul-de-sacs about 20 years ago. So we've been looking at this for a long time. And so we came up with this concept of these luxury garages. They're endearingly sometimes referred to as she sheds or man caves. But it was then that we said, this is a low traffic generator. This would be a really good product, a for sale product, which we all, want in Leawood rather than rental. And so it began to make sense, and we began to look into it and start sketching, and we came up with this plan called the Foundry. So you guys did an excellent job of presenting it. So I don't know how much more I'm going to be able to add, except that I'd like to show you some renderings because I didn't think you saw those. I think you can see this first one, right? Mm-hmm. So that you've seen this this overhead shot, which is essentially we'd like to build 7 buildings that are going to contain 89 units. And these are expandable units. The footprint for each one is 20 by 50, but because the walls between each unit are demising walls, they're not structural, a buyer could come in and expand those to however many units that individual wanted, okay? There's also an opportunity to go back and front on a couple of these buildings where there are a true gable, where there are garages on both sides. 5 of the 7 buildings are a single entry. It's a single slope. 2 of them have garages on both sides, and those garage walls that separate those 2 units are also demising and non-structure. And so if someone wanted to bring in an RV, they could just drive right on through. I know, Commissioner, you had a question about the car wash. We're not doing a car wash. We're going to do some sort of a clubhouse, some gathering place. It just doesn't seem like that was too exciting. So the clubhouse is where we're leaning to at this point. So as it was mentioned, these buildings are 22 feet tall, and they're going to be constructed of composite and stucco. So they'll be 4-sided architecture. They're really, I think, really pretty buildings. And they've also got long-lasting material on there as well. So I think from a maintenance standpoint, they're going to be, they'll always look nice. Here's the sort of the color rendering of the landscape included in the buildings and the parking lots that was spoken about earlier. I just want to point out what the Foundry is not, okay? The Foundry is not an Orange Door public storage facility. This is a privately owned facility for collectors and enthusiasts. There's no outdoor storage. You're not going to be able to pull up your Chiefs van and park it outside, and everything's got to be stored inside. These are not private residences by any stretch of the imagination. And we're not a public facility. While we want to encourage community, I think we'll find that with like-minded people that are going to gather together and admire the craftsmanship, form long life friendships that add to our community as a whole. We are going to be, however, with that said, we are going to be exclusive in that we are surrounding ourselves with a security fence and controlled access points that only the owners can access. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I think everyone's pretty familiar with the project, so I'm happy to answer questions, or we've got the engineers here as well, if you have any questions for them. And my handsome son, my partner, is also here if you'd like to ask him a question.
Any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Fishman?
Yes, I do have a question. I apologize. I don't remember, and as you know, I haven't seen the plan. So, are there bathrooms in each of these units?
Every unit will be stubbed for a bathroom, yes, sir.
Well, then that kind of leads to the next question, and that is that I noticed that there is no access connection between phases 1 and 2. So they're basically 2 separate projects. If you build phase 2, is it a concern that one of the projects in phase 2, one of the units in phase 2, may not have a bathroom and not be able to access the clubhouse?
Between phase 1 and 2 is a golf cart path, an area they can easily access the clubhouse. I suspect that, and I don't have a crystal ball, but I bet 99% of the people for the cost are going to put a bathroom in there. The heavy lifting is done with the under slab plumbing in place. slapping a toilet on top there and, in a sink. So, so to answer your question, they actually do have access through that path.
Okay.
And they can get right to the clubhouse, which will have a bathroom.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions for the applicant?
I have a question.
Commissioner Farrington.
On the renderings, it shows just lighting on the buildings. On the site plan, is there like street lighting or parking lighting, since it's kind of a partial private owned versus commercial?
So we're going to have lights mounted on the ends of the building, which all are going to be down facing. And there's no poles or commercial lighting on the facility. So all, and we're mindful of that because we have neighbors to the north, but it's all directional downward lighting. Each unit in front will also have a sconce. It's low, it'd be low wattage, and the Calvins are going to be, nice and warm, not some cool 5600K. It's going to be 3000, 2800, just soft lighting, kind of like these sconces here. Just to add a little accent. We're really mindful of the light pollution, so we just don't think we need a ton, just whatever is necessary to get us to code.
You good, Commissioner?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, just check. Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay. So I read in the Interact meeting notes, I was looking for kind of a price and how much these are going to sell for, and I saw one of the questions was about $700,000 for another 2-unit somewhere else. Do you have an estimate of how much these would go per bay or per unit?
The one that you're referring to is the Katie's project just to the east of us, and it's a similar structure. So we're going to start at $300,000, and for approximately the same size unit, they're at $350,000 over there. So that's our starting price. I suspect that I'm going to call it a pre-construction price. I think they're going to tick up as we sell.
So that's 300 per unit, and then if someone wanted to combine them together, it just would go from there.
2 times at that point. If you bring 3 together, you're 3 times. Now we're going to offer some. We're going to offer some, some economy of scales. If they buy 3, we can certainly discuss, price. But that's the entry point.
Okay.
It is really expensive to build today. My gosh. I wish they were cheaper, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I won't be buying one. But no one wants my 2010 Honda Accord in a separate garage anyway.
That's going to be a lot of money someday.
Collector's item.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Okay, this case does require a public hearing. Before I open up the public hearing and invite the public to come forward, just want to reiterate, every person that speaks will get 4 minutes. There's a little timer on the podium. It'll flash yellow when your time is coming close to an end, and then flash red when your time is up, and it will give a buzzer at that point. So with that, I'll open up the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on case 046-2026? Yes, ma'am. Come on up. Everyone that comes up, please state your name and your address for the record.
Sure. My name is Camille View, and my address is 2049 West 139th Terrace, Leawood, Kansas, 66224. And I live in the Villas of Leawood, and I am the HOA president of the Villas of Leawood. Have that great honor. So I want you guys to get a little familiar about the Villas of Leawood. They were built in 1998, and we will be backing up these on several of our property. We have 123 villas in there. They are fourplexes. We are aging in place. It is an age-in-place community, and it really pretty much always has been that way. So we like it, and we enjoy living there. So because the majority of our people are probably at least retired or 75 plus. So many of them, I know one that's 99. So yes, what we would like for the city of Leawood to make sure that we have some protection, as in their drawings, as you can see, this is us right here. And these people, these villas here are really going to be looking right at it. They are down on Kenneth Court, okay? And those are their front doors looking right at it. As you can see, the landscape, it goes down towards that direction. There is a 6-foot easement for utilities. We understand that. So we would like to make sure that there was like a berm and some large trees. And I know that's, hard because of the utility easement there, the gas line. So if they were, to either offset farther back so that it would allow for more of that, so that those residents would not be looking exactly at it, we would appreciate that. As well as, we're even open to having them donate to us, some trees for a barrier on our property. So we would greatly appreciate that. And that's pretty much, there is current units down there. They are on the Missouri side that are similar to this. And they, we want to make sure too, one thing I forgot was to make sure that the air conditioners are not on the roofs, that they are on the ground, so that we're not looking at the air conditioners. The downlighting, we appreciate, thank you, because we don't want it coming into our living rooms. And the ones that are currently there, there's 3 buildings, about 50 plus units right down there at 139th and Madison. Currently, that's on the Missouri side. We like these better, but we want a little protection. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this case? Yes, sir, please come forward. Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Mark Hoffman. I live at 2016 West 139th Street in Leawood. And I also live in the villas of Leawood. I'm not in my 70s and I'm not retired yet. And I apologize, I didn't know that there was a meeting on the 15th with questions about this, but in looking at the plans, it looks like, and I don't have the diagrams here, but it looks like the streets in this development essentially point north-south, just south of the villas of Leawood. And so my big concern is noise. People with cars who appreciate cars, and I appreciate people who appreciate cars, they like to get together on random days or whenever and make a lot of noise with those cars. So the concern is that that's going to be funneling the noise into the villas of Leawood as well. So the berms and the trees, that's great. I don't know if any of you live on a busy street that have tried to put up trees that block noise. That doesn't necessarily always work. But I just wanted to point out that the noise, I hadn't even thought of the air conditioners on the roofs as being possible noisemakers, but just the way this is oriented, it funnels the noise straight to the villas. So, and that was my only point.
Okay.
And I guess I'm done.
Okay.
Sorry, my first meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
My name is Narn Gibson. I live at 2063 West 139th Terrace. Basically, as you drive into the villas, I'm the first house, just as people drive in. I'm at the highest point of the villas. And I won't be in a position to be able to see this development because there's other houses between me and the development. But there is a berm there on the south side, and it runs down maybe halfway down the villas. But as you go further down the villas, and it's downhill, as you go further down, it becomes even. Okay? The people that live down there are going to be looking, it's going to be right in their face. And the people that live on Kenneth Court, which is our furthest east development, okay, there's several developments down there, several buildings down there. It's going to be right in their face, and apparently there's going to be a car wash down there. And subsequently, when they moved in, they had nice little villas, they had open fields, they had nature to look at, and now they're going to have a car wash set right up against them, okay? And there's not going to be anything in between it. There's no barrier. Someone might plant some trees, but I'm telling you, it's just like me looking at you. And I don't know how much you would like to have a car wash. You know, you probably have nice houses, nice property, and so forth, but something like that just moved in right next door to you. So I'd like to just make a point that's already been made, that we would like something to help us divide ourselves between us and them. At least for the people that are living in place. Some of my neighbors that you see here, these are some of the residents that live there, and that's our life. So especially take that into consideration, please, because those are the buildings we live in, and we don't have much of a choice. Well, you know, and so take that into consideration, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this case? Okay.
Is there anybody online?
No.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You got two more.
Oh, you don't have to sign in. Let this gentleman, you can go, ma'am, you can go next after him.
Yeah, hi, my name, I haven't met the developer yet, but my name's Chad Lander. I'm the owner of the property, 17725 EB Street, Overland Park, Kansas, 66013. And so I'm when the grass gets too tall, Wade Thompson, who's the city code enforcer, I can't say enough nice things about him. He's a good advocate on your behalf. I get text messages from him. Just for the record, the guy who mows the lawn is a U.S. Marine that I had to fire from his day job years ago because he was he had an alcohol problem, and he has since recovered and started his business, and so I hired him as a lawnmower. So anyway, give him a second chance. But so when it gets too tall, Wade calls on your behalf when you bug him. But anyway, so I used to shoot guns out there 40 years ago. So that property has been vacant forever. And I think the developer has done a really good job putting, something really good together. So I empathize with the concerns because it's a beautiful view. So you can't really picture it here, but when you're at the villas, you can kind of see this really beautiful valley over on the Missouri side for miles and miles. So it's really pretty. But this property has been vacant if you've lived in Leawood for a long time, for 40, 50 years. And so it's really nice to see some sort of nice development come. And so obviously I have a vested interest in the sale, but all that aside, it really is a nice looking development, and it's high time that, we kind of move it from vacant ground to productive ground. So I just wanted to advocate on its behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
My name is Mary Subcheck. I live at 2007 West 139th Street in Leawood Villas. Lived there 3 years. I will not be affected so much because of where I live, but I don't know how this project ever got this far to have something so massive, so potentially loud and bright, and 24/7. Give me a break. I mean, people come in with these cars. You saw those cars, they're not cheap. They make a lot of noise. I'm really worried about the noise and the light, how it's going to affect the south side of the villas of Leawood. And I don't think it's right that it was brought to this stage of development. They can move it away, move it farther south, do anything with it, but put it right up against our boundary lines practically is not correct. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this case?
Mr. Chair.
Oh, ma'am.
So close.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Martha Bishop. I live at 1967 West 139th Terrace. And from looking at the drawings and so forth I've seen, I think it is a very nice looking development. I do not have a problem with that. But I am one of the lucky people who is going to look right down, I think, on the roof of building number 7. So I am right, my unit, the fourplex I live in, my living room window is right there. And the hill drops down, and then there's the easement. And I think building 7 is that first one, the furthest west, if you can see it on there. So I am, as much as I can tell, right above that. So I would be in phase 2, I believe, of the, I'm not against this at all. However, I, like the others, am concerned about the noise level and the fact of 24/7 access, because if there are people driving in and out, it's pretty much right there for me. So that's all I have to say, but thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak regarding this case? I think so.
Okay. Mr. Chair, seeing
Commissioner
none,
Belzer.
I move to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Commissioner Belzer.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Fishman. All in favor of approving to close the public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The public hearing is now closed. That brings us up to discussion by the commission. Anyone like make any comments on this case? Commissioner Franze.
Yeah, I had a question. Could we have the developer come back up to ask
Absolutely.
some follow-up questions?
Oh,
I think
you know,
that'd be helpful.
you brought up an excellent point. I forgot to ask the developer to come forward and rebut or give them an opportunity to speak after the public hearing. My apologies on that.
Go ahead.
Dan Taylor again. Do I need to do my address, or are we good?
No, you're good.
I want to address the car wash that was brought up. We're not going to put a car wash in there. There's no car wash going in there. It's going to be a gathering center, a little small clubhouse. Again, the concern that they have are very valid, of course, okay? But when you think about what could go there, a manufacturing facility, a distribution center that would bring in trucks, semi-trucks, they could go vacant. They could sit there forever. Weeds could start growing. Those are big concerns I had, right? And I think the noise pollution we live by that distribution center, and there's a lot. They're not supposed to, but there's a lot of semis that come right in front of my house from that place. So we're not going to have that, right? We're going to be managed by an HOA that's going to ensure the place is always looks pristine and well cared for. Of course, there'll be a budget that takes care of that. So we're never going to go vacant. We're not going to have an overgrown look. It'll always look nice there versus the possibility of some, again, vacant warehouse or some active warehouse that has a bunch of semi trucks.
Jed Clausen, Phelps Engineering, 1270 North Winchester, Olathe, Kansas. I wanted to help out on some additional information regarding the landscape and setbacks too that you might want to take a look at. After the neighborhood meeting, which we had, a lot of great discussion, and we appreciate the neighbors coming out and talking with us, and we felt it was a really good meeting. Had some same comments that you heard tonight, just concern over, what am I going to see and stuff. So since then, we put together a few additional exhibits, which I believe was shared with the HOA president, just to kind of show, some sections, and what you generally find is that, these villas sit much higher than where we're at. So you're kind of overlooking them too. That coupled with the green space, where the gas line easement is through there, helps create a natural, setback buffer. But this is the grading plan, and you can see it's all been figured out as far as contours and elevations and stuff, but probably what's easier to read is we have a row of deciduous and evergreens along the north side of the buildings on the south side of the easement line that we've factored into this plan here. And then at the north end, which is still within the easement, but at the outer edges of it, we have like arborvitae, green giant type trees in there, which we're allowed to have because those are shallow rooted type plants, and that would be allowed in that easement. So keep that in mind as you're looking at the next drawings here. So I'm going to start, the next drawings are going to show some cross sections cut looking towards the west. The first one will be over on this building, and then we'll slowly go towards the east and look at the rest of the sections here. And I can go back to any of these. So here's that building number 7 here, section A, with a blue line, so that the section view is right down below here on section A. You can see how that grade starts to drop off at that location. There's the arborvitae, and there's the larger trees and stuff. Now this is at obviously full maturity stage and stuff too, so not day one, but you kind of tells a story that, these are sitting higher. These buildings are not like sitting at or even above those residences. They sit below. So I think that helps with, controlling the noise, controlling the sight lines, helping with, that separation helps with, dilution of any noise that there would be, along with the trees that we're planting in those sections. Here's the next 2 buildings here. This is the west building in phase 1. This is the middle building here, C and D. Again, you can kind of see, those buildings, for the most part, are kind of cut into that hillside. Those upper buildings are cut into that hillside, and then that material is flopped more onto the southern end of the site where it's lower, so that we can keep a flat building pad on these sites. Here's section DD, and by the time we finally do get to the very far east building, that one is pretty close to grade, but you can still see it's kind of falling off that way. So I wanted to share that information with you so you had an idea of how the ground sits. I hope you find that helpful, and we're here to answer any additional questions you have.
Commissioner Franze, I didn't want to thank you for bringing that up to remind me, but did you have any specific questions for the applicant?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one question that was brought up was AC units on the roof. It doesn't look like that's in the stipulations. Would you be amenable to a stipulation prohibiting that?
We'll address that with stipulations of the final development plan.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to keep out any stipulations specifically related to design at this level, but yeah, that would absolutely be stipulated at the final stage.
Okay. I think it's just important to note for staff that we want to see that and hear that discussion.
It is also included in the LDO, so that would be part of what you would see with an FDP, that rooftop equipment would be screened by parapet or, yeah.
Okay. I think the other question is, as you were showing in the depictions there, the elevation changes, that as you get further east on the property, it's not as favorable for eliminating kind of sound and light pollution, I guess you would say. So has there been any thought to, in those areas, is there a berm that could be built up there, or is that not going to be allowed because of the gas line that's there? Or are there other things that you could do there to help mitigate those issues?
You know, I think that's something we could do on that eastern building right there. You can see the contours are a little farther apart right there. I think we could, you know, add some berming right there. I mean, it'd be subtle type berming, so 5 foot or less type, but it could help in that area. And we could take a look at that at time of final to try to improve upon that grading and provide a little additional berming in that location there.
Okay.
If I can also just add to that as well. Of course, with the gas easement there, they would have to clear that with the utility company. But we do have, you know, within our code, you can't have above 60 decibels at the property line. And that's enforced with our code enforcement officer, Wade Thompson, I think was brought up earlier. So.
And I think you also asked about the lighting too.
Yeah.
I mean, and as Dan had mentioned, and we talked about this during the neighborhood meeting, and we've talked about this as we've been designing things. You know, no parking lot pole lights. So, you know, and that would be something you could traditionally find on another type of development within the zoning code. And there's other parking lots out there right now with those types of lights. We're anticipating these to have the sconce type lights on the face of the building that are the LEDs that are full cutoff that shine down. We really just need it for security lighting. We're not trying to meet a commercial lighting standard or anything like that. We're not a retail type facility. This is really for security and safety lighting.
And then if I could bring one more technical thing to the matter too on that, we would require with a final development plan a photometric study, and no light could be above 0.5 foot candles at the property lines.
Okay, thank you. I think you might also consider, and I think we've seen this in other plans where you have the north-facing drive aisles there, having some sort of solid barrier of some type at the top, because you're going to get headlights as people are driving up into those units are going to be facing right at the villas. So having something there to block that. And it may be more of a concern, as we discussed, further east where the grade is not as helpful at kind of masking that, but that might be a consideration as well.
So one thing that probably wasn't as evident in my presentation is that there actually is a retaining wall. This is that heavy black line through here. That the exposed face of that wall faces the south. So that's going to help a lot with shielding any lights in that location, along with the trees and through there. And there's one over on this section in the middle, between the two middle buildings. And what we don't find is that there is not one in this location here. I do have a utility running through here, so I probably can't do a whole lot with a wall right through there because they won't let me put the wall on top of the utility. But I think we could pay a little more attention in that location with, you know, again, some shrubs and different types of things to help provide that solid barrier. And we'd be happy to take a look at that at time of final.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add to that too. If you go back to that site plan where you showed the tree plan, it shows coniferous and deciduous trees, but maybe if you looked at the type of trees that you're planting there and have more evergreen that would be year-round versus ones that the trees would lose their leaves in the winter, that would shield the lighting better on that north end.
Absolutely. We can take a look at that.
That might help solve the lighting problem that would be a concern for some of the neighbors to the north.
Right. So the ones that are shown right here, the ones with the crosshatch on it are like an evergreen type tree, and the ones that are more open with just the white space are deciduous. But we could easily add more evergreens in there and replace the deciduous with more of an evergreen, to your point, to be more of a year-round screen.
Mr. Fishman.
The issue of the concern regarding noise, to me, sounds like a legitimate concern. I know particularly if these cars are going to be worked on while they're in the units. I mean, some of these cars can be, you know, the exotic cars can be really loud. They can be really screamers. And This is a 24/7 operation, and somebody could be revving up their engine. I mean, I don't know how likely that is to occur, but is there anything that can be done in order to attempt to control the noise? I'm just starting to think about some of the things that that might help. We do have decibel level limits with respect to, say, for example, generators. Carrie, you'd mentioned decibel limits. I didn't hear your comment clearly, so I would ask you to say what you said again.
Sure.
Maybe decibel limits. Decibel limit could be adopted.
I can address that for you. I can point
Please.
to you. I point you to the section of the LDO that addresses that for planned business park districts. That's 16-2-6.5. If you go to section E, performance standards, and then down to 7, in no case shall the noise level exceed 60 decibels at repeated intervals or for a sustained length of time measured at any point along the property line. So it could be, if you have intervals of noise and neighbors would complain, again, we would have code enforcement look into that. Or the police.
50 decibels is not very loud.
60.
50 or 60?
60 decibels is
60.
the max. Is the max.
Okay. Well, even that is not very loud.
Right.
What is the enforcement mechanism if the decibel level is exceeded?
Yeah, so, and it also kind of depends on time of day as well. If the police department was called after hours, I think, 10 o'clock, and there's noise at late hours, police could be called, but we could also, if there's a repeated problem especially, and we are notified, we would have our code enforcement officer send a letter and notify the property owner that there's been issues, and so that they could address that, so that they would not potentially receive fines for violating code.
So if there's a violation, the owner gets a ticket? Is that what happens?
Not right away.
Well,
they have a
eventually.
chance to correct it. We give them a chance to correct the issue.
So this is Michelle with planning. So if we get, say, one of the concerns or a couple of the concerns that were brought up during the public hearing was, say, with the AC equipment. If we start finding and we're getting complaints with our code enforcement that the air conditioning units are very loud, the code enforcement officer will go out and stand on the property line. They actually have a noise monitor, and they will sit there and measure the noise. And if it's for prolonged periods of time or at intervals for a prolonged period of time, they will then start working with the property owner. And that can be attenuation with the screens, whether they put some sort of backing on the, something on the back of the screens to kind of help soften that. Maybe it's kind of working to maybe redirect noise away from the property line. We can work with different ways with the property owner to address that. To address any of those prolonged noises. And as Carrie said, say if this is something that happens in the middle of the night, where the noise is maybe more raucous or something is happening, that does become a police matter, and then the police would then get involved in that.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Can I also address that real quick?
Yes, please.
We are going to have an HOA there that is going to be enforcing the noise pollution, because we have a 20-year SUP that we're trying to get, and we don't want to put that in jeopardy, right? So if it becomes if it becomes like ridiculous, which it will never get there, we put our SUP at risk. So that's why the HOA is going to be able to enforce the protection, the preservation of our SUP by making sure that everyone is following all of the rules. So not only do we have those protection elements in place, but what Michelle had mentioned earlier about police, right, and also about the screening of any of those other noises. I mean, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of mechanisms in place, I think, that can help mitigate a lot of that concern.
Is your project in the area that is covered by the HOA? Or just adjoining the area covered by the
We will have our
HOA?
own HOA for the Foundry garages.
You have your own HOA?
Oh, yeah, we're going to have all the owners are going to have to join the HOA and pay a fee to manage, to help, pay for the costs of the buildings, the upkeep of the landscape, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, will that declaration for that HOA address noise?
Oh, yeah, for sure it'll be in there. Yes.
When do you expect that would be available?
So typically, and the staff can correct me but typically we would turn in a draft of that with the final plat and final development plan, because the declarations would be recorded along with that plat, and a lot of cities like to see those types of documents as a draft form at the final plat stage, which we would anticipate running that with the final plan together. So we would, if we're allowed to move forward and we get our approvals, we would be coming right back to the city for those types of approvals. So I would anticipate seeing those in the next few months, coming back before you for consideration.
Right.
That way you get a chance to take a look at it too and look for those types of things that might be of concern.
Thank you, Jed. That's important.
Commissioner Belzer.
My question was just answered.
Okay. So I see Commissioner Franzek.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest providing a copy of the HOA documents to the neighboring HOA to make sure that they see them and are comfortable with the enforcement mechanism. I think that would be a good move on your part.
Any additional comments by the commission? I just had one question for staff. This application includes a 20-year special use permit. Can that be pulled by the city council or the planning commission if something goes awry during that 20-year period?
Yes, the governing body does have the power to revoke a special use permit if staff can show just cause. So if there's a lot of violations aren't being addressed, whatever reason, that maybe they're not adhering to the stipulations of this special use permit, then the governing body does have the power to revoke to revoke that permit.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any additional comments by the commission? Okay.
Comments in general?
I'm sorry?
Comments in general?
Yes, we're still in the comments.
Thank
if you'd
you.
like to, Commissioner McGurn.
I would say this is a great use of vacant land with quiet, low traffic impact, extra landscaping, an HOA, no car wash, a border wall that helps with the lighting, a flexibility associated with the concerns that have been addressed today. So I would certainly be in favor.
Thank you, Commissioner McGurn. One second. Commissioner McGurn brings up a good point without the car wash. They did not want a car wash. Does that have to be stricken from the report, or does it not really matter? Because it does say on page 2, second bullet point, the 500 square foot space to be used as a clubhouse or car wash bay.
That would be something that they could address at the final development plan stage.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Belzer.
No problem. I was just going to piggyback on Commissioner McGurran's comments and just thank the applicant for being so willing to hear the concerns of the neighbors and really work to mitigate all of those issues. I really appreciate that, hearing that kind of collaboration and willingness. I mean, I know you're also a neighbor, so I understand your vested interest in making everybody happy, but it's very nice to see that collaboration and that willingness to compromise and work together. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Belzer. Any additional comments by the commission? I'd just like to make one comment. We have studied this for, it seems like, a year. We, as a commission, we have had a work session on this topic. So we are very invested in making sure that this becomes a successful venture for Leawood. And I agree with my fellow commissioners. I think this is a good, positive step forward for Leawood and development. I like the way that the developer's working with the HOA and will continue to work with the HOA. It's really nice to see that cooperation between both the developer and the residents of the area. So I'm looking forward to a good, successful project.
Okay.
Any additional comments? Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Belzer.
I move for approval of case PC-046-2026, the Foundry Luxury Condominium 251-296 garages. Request for approval of a special use permit, preliminary development plan, and preliminary plat located north of 143rd Street and east of Kenneth Road.
Second.
Second, Commissioner McGurran. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor of approving case PC 046-2026, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The case is passed and sent on to the City Council. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Before we leave, I know some of us are on fumes from our conference this weekend. I just like to ask Commissioner Fishman, since it was the first time going to the National Planning Conference in Detroit, just any comments you want to make?
Yeah, my comment is this, Mr. Chairman. When I went there, I didn't know what to expect. It's a very large conference. There's 5,000 some odd people. It's aimed primarily toward planners rather than planning commissioners. And at first I asked myself, why am I even here and what do I expect to get out of this? But as time went on, I really found myself becoming engaged in some really interesting seminars, and they have bus tours that take you around to show you different projects where the planners have worked with the developers in the cities in order to accomplish a public-private partnership, and I thought that was very valuable. And so I really ended up enjoying my time there, and I would recommend to the other planning commissioners that in future years, if you get a chance to go, you might want to consider that, because I think it's a valuable experience.
Okay. Staff, any comments from staff on the past weekend? They're all exhausted.
We just got in at about 3 o'clock today, so yeah. Just echo Commissioner Fishman. It's always very valuable for us, and hopefully for any commissioners that go. I think there's always something to be gained and learned, even from cities that aren't necessarily comparable to us. There's always something you can kind of glean from what others are doing. So always valuable.
I'd like to say too that, I mean, this is probably maybe my 5th, 6th conference, national planning conference, and I always walk away from those conferences with just kind of a renewed sense of pride in planning profession, but also just inspired to continue my work as a planner. So.
It was also my first time going to the National Planning Conference, and I was not sure that I was going to learn much because it is a very different city than what we work with here. But I was very blown away by all the projects, and I learned a lot. The sessions were great. I do recommend you guys going if you get the chance.
Yeah, this is like my 4th, or I think my 4th one, but I'm always blown away by the planners throughout the country that put on their own sessions and what they bring to the table, what's going on in other parts of the country that are successful with what they do in their own cities. Probably the most impactful one I was at was the city of Asheville. I had 2 planners that came forth and gave a riveting presentation on emergency management from a planning perspective that they got thrown into when their city got completely flooded. I mean, it was very emotional at the end. The planners were very emotional at the end of that seminar. It was very well done. I encourage everyone, if you get a chance, to to spend some time doing that. Because we have two young guests out there, what school, oh, I'm sorry.
You can go, I'll
Okay.
go after you.
We'll ask the young gentleman, what school do you go to? Rockhurst. And what class do you have to do this for? Honors what? Okay.
The class you have to do this for.
Well, my son's a senior at Blue Valley North, and he was threatening to come to my meeting. And I said, you don't want to do that, because I'll call on you. I said, go to the city council, it's much more interesting. So, welcome, guys, and you get to see local democracy in action tonight, which is always exciting, for me anyways. Commissioner McGurran, did you want to say something?
Something for the good of the group.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. Something for the good of the group. With the people that are in this room every month, we've been waiting a long time for the technological improvement, and the microphones are poor. It's hard to hear everybody when they talk. The technology doesn't work for the person who wants to go up and start their presentation. We stop periodically. I mean, it's just crazy that it's been this bad for as long as it's been this bad. So yeah, we all want to make a motion and vote to have this fixed in the next 2 months.
Well, I know it's on the list of things to do for the city.
Well, it's crazy that it's been this long.
I don't disagree.
The entire time I've been here, the 9 years or whatever it's been this way.
Yeah,
they're actively working on that, and yeah, I would second that motion.
Why don't you see if you can come next month with an assessment of when they're going to do it?
I will see if they have an update. I've been asking as long as I've been here as well, so I'll see if there's a more current update.
You have a lot more clout than we do.
Yes, I'll see what I can find out and let you know.
Great.
Thank you.
Two other things, work session, May 12th.
We actually do not have a topic right now, so I'm pretty sure we will not have a work session,
Okay.
but we will confirm for you all either way within the next week.
Okay, thank you. And then what's the latest LDO comp plan update?
I don't think we have too much change since when we spoke last month. Our consultants are working on their portion of things. We haven't had anything back to really review yet at this point. So we're still working with the mayor and the governing body to get another joint session set up between this body and the governing body at some point this summer to talk further about the 135th Street corridor portion of the comp plan. So we will hopefully have an update on that in short order. But other than that, it's kind of in the consultant's hands right now. It seems like it's kind of feast or famine. It's either with us or with them, and it's at a point where it's with them right now. So
okay. All right. Anything else for anyone? All right. Very good. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.